Good morning, Dharma brothers and sisters. As some of you know, I am Bruce Nakamura, serving the North Hawaii Hongwanji Association, which spans from Kohala to Pawilo Hongwanjis. I am very grateful this morning to join all of you and the Hawaii District Ministers Association for this second series of Facebook Dharma sharing for our communities. Let us begin this morning with meditation and aspiration. From the Passages on the Pure Land Way, the Koso-wa-san, verses written by Shinran Shon. Through the benefit bestowed by unhindered light, one realizes the vast shinjin of transcendent virtues. Unfeelingly, the ice of blind passions melts and immediately becomes the water of enlightenment. The oneness of obstructing evils and virtues has come about. It is like the relation of ice and water. Much ice means there is much water. Many hindrances mean many virtues. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please join me, brothers and sisters, with the Vandana and Tisara. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Bundam saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the moon for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo, Namo. Thank you, everyone. I'm sure many of you have used an ice bucket, which is something that perhaps when you were at a convention or house at the hotel, after the service and the program activities finished, people went to their rooms and perhaps got a little thirsty and picked up the bucket from their room and went to the ice dispenser machine, probably outside down the hall. And after bringing the ice back in the bucket, drinks were probably shared, whether it was juice or water, etc. And toward the end of the evening, as people began to turn in, the ice began to melt. And so with the difference of the ice in the bucket, by morning time, the ice had become all water. This is all the same ice that everybody began in with the bucket when we went into our rooms. Since the discovery of 10 letters written by the hand of Eshinni-sama to her daughter Kakushinni were discovered in the Hongwanji storeroom, we know without doubt of Shinran Shonin's existence and his entry to a life of a monk on Mount Hiei for 20 years. Shinran became a disciple of Honen at his hermitage in Yoshimizu, Kyoto. With Honen's permission, he became a devotee and was reborn anew, taking refuge in the exclusive power of Onen Butsu practice in Amida Buddha's primal vow. Later, however, Shinran Shonin enlarged the interior of Honen's, his teacher's, recitative Onen Butsu to emphasize Amida Buddha's true and trusting mind and heart, Shinjin, as the sole cause for birth which had been given over to all beings of the Nembutsu, enabling them the attainment of birth in the Pure Land for supreme happiness and sustenance. Beings assuredly embracing Amida Buddha's great compassion say the Nembutsu as joyous gratitude are endowed with the armor of the Buddha's dynamic name or Shinjin, naturally reaching out to all beings in the 10 directions to share Amida's virtues, also the essence of Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's primal vow. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas praise Amida Buddha's name, and this is too called the practice of the Buddhas. All who assuredly recite the Nembutsu as gratitude undoubtedly will be born in Amida Buddha's country. As with Shinran, Shinni-sama did not practice a simplistic recitation of the Nembutsu as magic for her happiness. She clearly understood, having surrendered herself to the absolute other power of Amida Buddha's great compassion that directs virtue to all beings, whether they have abilities or not. Such was at the core of this authentic spiritual life, expressing our gratitude to Amida Buddha's virtues as the true and trusting Shinji. It reaffirms our shared realization of the thoroughgoing and meticulous instructions Shinran imparted to those around him during his lifetime, which included his wife Eshinni-sama and Kakushinni-sama. Towards the end of his life, however, Shinran was forced to disown his son Zenran, who supposedly espoused a heretical view, secretly whispered from the master's lips into his son's ear. And though it is clear in the writing that Zenran refers to Eshinni-sama as his stepmother, we know, however, Kakunyo's Kudensho, Shinran's biographer, included Zenran among 6 male and female offspring to Eshinni-sama, as does the genealogy compiled by Jitsugo, 10th son of Rennyo Shonin, in the official Hongwanji genealogy and history. Among the 5 or 6 children, depending upon one's point of view, it is said the only one who truly inherited Shinran Shonin's Oshinjin other power Onenbutsu teaching was his youngest daughter, Kakushinni-sama. Scholars even up to recently debated the number of wives Shinran had in his lifetime. Some might argue he had 1 wife in Kyoto prior to marrying Eshinni upon his exile to Echigo, as he led a new popular Pure Land Buddhist movement. This seems to justify Shinran's reference to Eshinni as stepmother, while others argued Shinran had 2 wives. Even other scholars assert 3. Whatever the case may have been, we really do not know and cannot judge Japanese cultural norms and standards of their times. Another point that has been debated was in regard to the status and the care of indentured servants, or quote-unquote slaves. They were under the total care and protection overseen by Eshinni's social station. Living apart from her husband in Echigo, Eshinni seemed to belong to the Miyoshi clan, with strong roots in Kyoto as well as in Echigo. It is therefore not a surprise that not only marriage to Shinran, but to living apart from him to maintain a family household, including grandchildren, would offer practical and social benefits as a family living in Echigo. Shinran Shonin, in his poem, laments, "Beings without slightest love or compassion, how can I think of helping such beings? If it were not for the ship of Tathagata's vow, how can I cross the ocean of suffering?" Shinran Shonin laments his own personal and social karmic evil, inextricably bound to his state at hand, but also in his social relationships with those in his community and society. His monkish facade just lay beneath the world at hand, yet it could not stand apart from a complicit evil that bound all life existence in a tangled web. Shinran's world at hand bears a kind of nakedness that burns through the deceptive monkish facade of ritual impotence and statecraft hypocrisy. he writes in his poems, the compassion in the path of sages is expressed through pity, sympathy, and care for all beings. But truly rare is it that one can help another as completely as one desires. In this life, no matter how much pity and sympathy we may feel for others, it is impossible to help another as we truly wish. Thus, our compassion is consistent and limited. Shinnan's spiritual verses force us to sense beneath our personal and collective bias that if left alone, we cannot help but live an inescapable pathway bound for hell, quote unquote. Even if we are not directly involved in at oppressing others, we are complicit in the same. Simply put, each one of us are together bound for hell. And while already we are languishing in its shadow, Shinnan Shonin understood the deceptive nature of the human heart and mind, seeking glory vain beneath the layers of its consciousness and subconscious desires, too often fooling ourselves and the world about us of our outward sincerity and goodness, though harboring foolishness and pretension within. In the modern period, the emperor bestowed the posthumous Buddhist title Kenshin Daishi, the great seer of truth. What does this epithet of Shinnan Shonin imply? In Shinnan is acknowledged the spiritual affirmation to one's impenetrable darkness or shadow, in encountering all the while arising is Amida Buddha's wondrous and supreme light, its inconceivable power, grasping all beings who are essentially foolish in nature. It also, having realized the vast Shinjin, the diamond-like awakening, the awareness of one's fathomless potential, which has arisen together in Amida's light. We are as we are, foolish as we are, deeply self-centered, ever couched in the incomprehensible compassion and love of the Buddha's great compassion. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, brothers and sisters of the Dharma, for taking the time to spend moments together as we share and receive the Dharma, the Nembutsu Dharma, as we continue to walk together as co-travelers in the Buddha's great compassion. Let us, with profound gratitude, recite the Buddha's name as thanksgiving. And now we will close with the Nembutsu Gatha. Please join me. Namo Thank you very much, everyone. Please have a safe and pleasant day. Take care.